Well, hello again. This is Joe from iRepair Electronics, and we have a DVP-Cx985 400 CD changer. A big boy, and it is not reading discs. Well, occasionally it might pick up one or two discs, but out of the 400 that are supposed to be in there, yeah, for the most part, it's not reading them. Especially if it's a CDR or DVD-R. So anyway, what we did is about the only option to do is go and purchase a brand new laser. I emphasize that loosely. Brand new being it came from China. And they advertised it as new. But I know from dealing with these things in the past that when you see this box, this is not a new box. This didn't come from Sony. They package it much differently with much more care for static. I've already opened this. And it came with desiccant. That's a nice one. So here's the new laser. Let's take a closer look, shall we? Okay, so it's the KHM-290aaa. And from everything you can look on it, it looks like the real deal. It is a Sony part, because I seriously doubt that the Chinese went and recreated the whole assembly, motor and all, and slide rails and all that, just to sell this to me for $30. No, that didn't happen. So anyway, so what they've done typically in the past, as I mentioned, I used to sell these, not from my place, but I used to work for a place that sold them. And they came directly from China, much like this, and they came in a package, much like that. And they typically will replace this device here. This is the pickup receiver, part of the laser diode assembly. So the diode for the actual laser is, let's see if I can remember. I think it's over on this side. So see those two adjustments? Those two little potentiometers there? Yeah, they're responsible for generating the power. Oh, here it is. Oh, I'm sorry, it's right here. So that's the actual laser, semiconductor laser, the little red guy that will shine the light into here, into this block assembly. There's a diffraction grating, and there's like a prism, and it goes through that, up out of the lens, then back down the lens, and this is the item that actually receives the light. And this is what typically goes bad. Now, what else can go bad are there's a little mirror in there that gets moved around from feedback voltages for the focus and tracking. So if those are worn out, this may or may not work. I guess, replacing this diode, this little, what they call it a diode, but it is it's a receiving, the device that receives the light back from the laser diode. If that's not good, then obviously it's not going to work. But typically, this is what they've done to replace it. Now, course, I don't work for the factory that made it, so I can't tell you exactly what was replaced. Maybe they replaced the laser diode. Maybe they replaced all the guts inside there. Hard to say. What we can find out, though, is whether or not it's going to work. Alright, so enough of that. Now, if you're ever going to replace one of these things, there is something you need to know. And of course, the manufacturers who sold this as new didn't tell you. Didn't tell me, but I do know anyways. Because I've worked on many laser assemblies in the past, just like this. Before you fire it up, this here is a short jumper. That little blob of solder right there. So after the cable is connected to the header, we can then take off the jumper and try it out. The aim is to remove this cover to get to the laser assembly. The screws are over here, but there's still a little more we have to take apart. So, another thing that's in the way, can we see this screw here? Right there is a screw which is inaccessible from the top. Why did they do it that way? I don't know. There's a hole here, but you can't get to it from that way either. I don't, Sony, who knows, okay? Maybe they weren't thinking very well that day when they designed this thing. So, this screw here to this bar, and this screw that attaches that bar to the PC board. That'll come out. What else? Should be able to see these. There's 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And of course my non-magnetic screwdriver. Dropped the screw. Not an unexpected thing happened. Let's see if we can. So, okay. So we're at the point here where we should be able to get this off without any hassle whatsoever. He said, oh, no. There's another screw. All right. Oh, and this whole assembly just kind of floats. Okay, so yeah, so here we are. It's going to pivot here. There's a little piece of plastic there, and it's going to also, this is a hinge pivot. Oh boy, what are we getting ourselves into here? Assembly, which I guess I can pull out. No, there's a spring attached. I'm not going to pull that out all the way. If you can see it, there's a little spindly thing. We call it the chuck. And that's going to stay right about there, hopefully. No, it's not. Because, of course, it has to come off. There is a spring here, which I guess I'm going to find out more about. Something didn't break, did it? Oh, of course it did. Great. So just with me messing around with it, wonderful wonderfulness. So this broke. This little post with the washer on it is supposed to stay on top here. It didn't really give me any resistance when it broke. Oh boy. So, but yeah, and it goes in here and then goes in there. This whole thing. Okay, so this was in the groove on this cam. This metal post was right here on the inner portion of that cam. So let's not forget that. And now we have access to our laser assembly. So that makes that easy. So what's not going to be easy is putting this back on. Let's take a closer look. It looks very even actually in the break, but you can always tell. Oh, don't lose that. Crazy glue would be fine to get this to just stay in one place, but it's the amount of pressure that's going to be on this eventually that's concerning to me. What I might do is drill in, see if I can find a hunk of metal to go in here and stick out the same dimensions as this, and that would take care of that. That's probably a better plan. So we're gonna come up with a different way of dealing with this busted off piece here. So first thing I want to do is get a measurement on that and on the hole that it goes into. So let's see what we get here. Bursting out the old Starrett. 3.98, so that's in millimeters. That's easy, 4 millimeters. And I'm sure the hole that it's going to go into is probably pretty close to that. We get our gauge in there, and it's just a little bit bigger, but yeah, 4 millimeters. Focus, bastard. All right. So what we have, we purchased this little kit of various grub screws. You heard me, grub screws. Don't ask me why they call them that. I have no idea. They're not very grubby looking, but here's the 4. And we have various different lengths. So this go from shortest to longest. I'm just going to grab one of the longest ones here. Get your local Harbor Freight kit of drill bits, and wow, look at that, 3.92. And the diameter of the grubby that we're going to put on there, 3.92. Hey, it's a match made in heaven, as long as I don't waller her out too much. Should I go with this next step down, perhaps? Let's try that. See what that measures out to be. 2.4. Well, we'll see. Could always waller it out if need be. And your faithful cordless. Let's see if we can get this in here. Don't knock the camera over. It's a very tight squeeze. All right, here we go. Forward, not reverse. Let's see how that feels. It still feels a little tight, but we'll give it a try. If I hear it starting to crack, then we go with the other bit. It's tight. A little tighter than I'd like, but I don't hear anything disastrous happening. Actually, you know what? Before things go bad is when you should stop, because it's tight, ain't going nowhere. You know, we've got miles of room on the bottom of this for that. Now that we've got that done and out of the way, let's move on to other things, such as replacing the laser. Make sure you don't lose these screws, because you ain't never gonna find them again. In fact, it looks like one of those is a replacement. Go for this one. This is a little bit easier to get out. Oh, oh, there we go. Tiny, but not too tiny. All right. That out. This one's just going to pull right out. This one can pull back a little bit and then flop out. And this is the old one, so I don't care if it laser dies. It's pretty much dead already anyway. Let's get these out of here. Populate these into the new one. All right. Get these in. Don't worry, that's not going to hurt it. Get this flex cable in here. Hopefully without it driving me too crazy first. And it appears to be in. Let's take a look at the other side. Everything seems to be even. That looks about right. Okay. So then, before I get it in all the way with the screws, you will remember I was talking about removing the solder blob. Alright. It's melted. I want to take a closer look. Actually, I can see it through the camera, can't I? Zoom in on this as much as possible. Are they separated? Okay, well, best as I can tell, that is unsoldered. Let's get the screws back in. Let's get the laser mounted properly first. They can get the screws back in. one of these screws is not like the others. That's probably because I changed, thinking back, I changed this thing once before, probably with the same brand of cheap Chinesium laser assembly, which I guess lasted for a few years. All right. Now we need to position this properly, which is like so, like that, right? Yeah. So to the outside of that, and then we need to get this aligned like so. There was a washer for this, wasn't there? Yep. Might as well use it. We're going to need to get the spring in there. Bringing the thing popped into place. I hope so. All right. Let's get this little overhang gizmo into position without knocking the laser out of place. Of course, that's gotta happen. Why wouldn't it? Alright. Let's try this again. Oh, piece of cake. Yep. Okay. I guess we start putting some screws in, I guess, huh? Okay, so I just screwed all this back together. Believe me, I saved you the pain and labor of watching that happen. And so we're going to try and play a disc. Hey, it's playing. Okay, let's see if we can't try that again. Yep, it's playing. Sorry I don't have it hooked up to a TV monitor and outputting it to you, but I just don't have the space for all that right now. Anyway, it is working. So you saw the main meat and potatoes of it. So that's how you do it. The most important thing I'll say about it again was this one issue where they don't tell you that you need to remove the solder blob over here. I can see where you know, people who've ordered these things in the past probably don't know about it, unless you were had original Sony parts and knew about this. They don't tell you when you order it. They don't tell you in the box that you need to do it. So that would probably lead to a lot of people having, you know, be a very disappointed experience in ordering the thing. It seems to be playing. We'll have to try all the other discs. I might make a follow-up video to after it's all assembled and actually showing it working. So that's it for now, and that's it. Okay, we're back, and the machine is together, and just wanted to show you how everything worked out. So we'll turn on. Get it zoom in on this display here. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit play on this, and yeah, so whoop, just go to another disc. If any of you are Pink Floyd fans, you know where that was from. There's probably another PF disc coming up. Okay, so just point being that it picks up the disc pretty good. And having no problems at all with the quality of the playback. Like, it's picking up table of contents quite quickly, actually, and it's doing the thing. You know, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is play discs, and it plays the DVDs. I've gone through all the DVDs, pretty much all of them, and everything's playing very well. So the laser that I was a little worried about coming from places unknown, well, we know where, China, did work out fine, and maybe it is a new, I don't know, or when they rebuilt it well. Whatever the case, it did work out very well. So that's that. Just for those of you who may or may not be interested, this here Megachanger 400 disc, it's got a thing called Disc Explorer, and you hit the correct button on the remote, and we'll go to show the Explorer mode, and so it shows you track listing of all the discs I have in here, and so you can input the data for it using the keyboard and, you know, a PS2 input that it has, because it's so modern. Yeah, but it works. It's a bit laborious. Does take quite some time to get everything input. Uh, Most everything was there. There were a few disks that I had moved around and rearranged and had to re-input some of the data into it, but it wasn't too bad. And so yeah, that's how this thing shows up all the discs that you have, so you can scroll through and see what you've got. Yeah, it worked out well, so I'm happy I did it, and that's it. So hope you liked the video, and leave a comment or two if you have any questions about my methods and perhaps where I got the laser from. I could tell you who I bought it from. So if you're worried about who you're getting these things from, at least the place I got it from, it did indeed give me a good one, even though they didn't include any instructions with it. Anyway, so again, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Okay, have a good day.